89.9 KMOJ FM and KMOJ HD1 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Bringing unity to the community. 89.9 KMOJ, the People's Station.
Hey, it's Glam Life Kim here, and I'm here with one of my favoriteest people here in the Twin Cities, Mr. Anthony Taylor. How are you today, bro?
I'm good, sis. You one of my favoriteest all-time legendary people in the city, man.
I love
What's
it.
going
That's what we
on?
do. Man, you know what? Today is a good day. I'm just going to claim that, and I'm going to receive that. And
Okay.
I mean, even though there's no sunshine, it would make me so much happier if there was some sunshine, but it's a good day.
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen today this weekend. We gonna get it, right?
Man, are we going to get it this weekend?
Yeah, man. It's supposed to be like 80 degrees.
Oh,
supposed
come
to be
on.
warm.
Come
you know,
on.
this the little summer that happens before the
Right.
the
Please
freezer
don't
open.
talk about that.
We
Oh,
gonna
don't talk about
it.
that one.
It's coming though, but it is a beautiful day.
It
It's cloudy,
is.
but it feels
Yeah.
good outside.
I think
so.
we needed the rain the last couple days.
We needed the rain. I was just talking to Glenn before we got on the show, man. When it would start raining at night, that's just a good night's sleep
I
for me,
swear it
man.
is. You don't want to wake up.
Man, you don't want to wake up. That bed had me in a chokehold. Dude.
Every morning I've been getting up early. I'm like, oh, just let me hit snooze.
Yeah, I know.
Like 3,
I know.
4, 5, 6
You such a grinder, though. You always grinding.
Man, always
You the
at
hardest
it.
working woman, man, that I know. I'm telling
They
you,
called me the Energizer Bunny.
Energizer Bunny. That's why you on the radio. You know what I'm
Look,
saying?
always doing something. I can't sit my butt down.
Yeah, but, that's just in our blood.
It is. That's
just,
the
you know,
truth.
yeah.
I always said, hey, when I slow down, it's going to be the end of me.
Yeah, that's it. Sleep when you die. You know what I'm saying? So,
Shame we say that. But
yeah, I know.
But that's how I be feeling
all
sometimes.
all the mental health professionals, they're like, no. Kim and Aunt, y'all out there bad.
Right.
That ain't how we supposed to do it.
It's not how we supposed to, but a lot of us living like
And
that.
we live like that. That's true. Hey, y'all can tell I'm excited to be in the building with my girl,
Yes.
doing this show, Minneapolis 360.
Mhm.
You in the building, beautiful
Yeah,
day outside.
Man, it is. And we still, look, I'm glad that you're able to be in the building because COVID still exists.
I know.
It's hitting Minneapolis hard again.
It is, and I'm gonna give a little update, a quick one. But yeah, like it's never over. Like COVID is never over, y'all. So like, listen, we talk about it all the time. Protect yourself,
Please.
mask yourself up, wash your hands, do all those things that we were doing in the middle of COVID, Kim, because it's still
Right.
around. Like honestly, I
Mhm.
think, and I'm not a professional, I'm not Dr. Fauci or anything else, but I think we're gonna live with this for the rest of our lives.
Oh, we
right?
are. I agree. It's just like the cold and the flu.
Yeah, it is. It is, y'all. So protect yourself. It's out there.
Mhm.
Hey, listen, let's keep this energy going. Welcome,
Yes.
welcome, Twin
Hey.
Cities to the building. This is Minneapolis 360. I am your host, Anthony Taylor, riding shotgun with Glam Life Kim. Always a pleasure to be with you every second and fourth
Same
Wednesday
here.
of the month, y'all.
Mhm.
And I want to just talk real quick about a few things, but I think the main topic today that I want to make sure that we get into a little bit later is people always call it Kmart, the old Kmart site.
Right.
It's kind of rebranded Kim now into New Nicollet, right? So when you think of New Nicollet, y'all, and y'all hear that and y'all get all of this information and about what you can do to get information. New Nicollet means the old Kmart site.
Not
y'all.
Nicollet Mall.
Not Nicollet Mall, not none of that. New Nicollet,
New Nicollet is
the
Kmart. That's on Lake
Oh,
Street.
it's on Lake Street. Absolutely. We're going to talk to a person from CPAD to talk about what that looks like. She's been on before. There's a lot of progress that's happened, but make sure you kind of listen to that because that's important that you know about that and what that's going to look like for this city's future, especially if you live over south or know people over south. That's going to be looking a lot different lately.
It does. I rode down there yesterday. It looks totally different.
It's totally different. I think it's fenced up, you know what I'm saying? But like all of that's going to change. So I got my friend Rebecca coming on. She's going to talk about what that looks like and everything involved in that. But real quick, y'all, we spent a lot of time talking about elections and early voting. It is happening, y'all. Like early voting is underway. Listen, all 13 city council seats are on the ballot. Election day is November 7th. So make sure you are ready to vote. Listen, y'all, when we talk about activating your voice, Kim, and making sure that you get these officials in office, the only way you can do that is to vote. Right?
Yeah, that's your opportunity.
So if you have a councilman or a councilwoman in your ward that you are happy with or not happy with, it's a chance to change that. Early Voting Center is open, 980 East Hennepin Avenue. Voting hours are 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday. So just make sure that you understand that you can vote now. You don't have to wait till November 7th to get that
Not have
in.
to wait.
Absolutely. Listen, there is a free senior fair October 25th. Elected officials will have a panel, research fair, and lunch. The workshops will cover personal safety, crime prevention, traffic, snow removal, just a lot of different issues. The South Minneapolis Senior Fair is 9:30 to 2 p.m. Wednesday, August 25th.
October.
Then what did I say?
August.
See, I'm thinking about the weather already.
Right.
I'm trying to
Ready
go
for next year.
backwards. I know. I'm trying to go back. I don't want it to happen, Kim.
Me neither. I feel you.
If I speak it into existence,
right, please don't. Don't speak it into existence.
Hey, at Pearl Park Recreation Center, 414 East Diamond Lake Road. And the Senior Fair is sponsored by Ward 8 and Ward 11. And also, too, one of the big things I really wanted to talk about, too, is you can sign up for free disaster preparedness training. It's a 2-day training to make you more confident, prepared, and secure in natural disasters or human-caused disasters. Listen, y'all, we all knew what happened when that tornado came through our area, and a lot of us did not know what to do. This camp can get you ready to be able to have a survival kit. You can have emergency recommendations to have in your house, talk about your escape plan, and just all that. Food will be provided too at no cost. It's a free emergency ready preparedness camp. Tuesday, October 24th from 4:45 to 8. Wednesday, October 25th, 4:45 to 8 p.m. at the Central Library, 300 Nicollet Mall, room 280. Listen, all this information that I said, you can always go to 311 to get those answers. I know I talk fast, y'all, sometimes. I only got 30 minutes on this show, so I'll be trying to get it in as best as I can. But always,
311.
311 to get that information. And look, we're going to start to get into it, Kim. Kmart, right?
Yeah.
Kmart site, the new Nicollet project. I got Rebecca Perel, project supervisor from CPED, to talk about this, what's going on with this, and just really give us some information. And she's been part of this project for a long time. So, Rebecca, listen, welcome to Minneapolis 360.
Welcome, Rebecca.
How you doing?
And always fun activities for 1 o'clock in the afternoon, especially on a rainy day. Better to be inside.
Yeah, like, it's a beautiful day, but we blessed to be here, and I'm glad to have you here on this show. So, Rebecca, before we get started, just tell people who you are and what you do for the city.
Yeah, my name again, Rebecca Perot. I've been with the city for many years, and I work in the Department of Community Planning and Economic Development. I work on the Economic Development team, and so as it relates to the Kmart project, my team is part of the city that buys land and then sells land, and so I was a part of buying both the old grocery store, as folks remember when there was a Super Value, and then the Jerry's Foods there, that building. We did tear that building down last year, and then we bought the Kmart site as well, and then we paid Kmart to terminate their lease, and so now we own that site. So that's one of the big projects I work on. I also work on other development projects across the city.
Now, we talked about this quite a bit last year, and I want to have you on, and I'm glad that you're on to talk about just some of the things that's happened since then. I like to make sure I let folks know when we talk about Nicollet, new Nicollet, it's just really referring to Kmart because it can confuse a lot of people. So if we're talking about Kmart, the new Nicollet project, tell us what's going on with this project.
Yeah, that's a great transition because we've been thinking about how long we keep saying Kmart site.
Right.
Kmart's gone. We're moving on, but it's still the familiar nomenclature. It's still the familiar word that everyone knows. When you say the Kmart site, they're like, "Oh yes," and folks know where it is. They're on Lake Street in South Minneapolis. Back in the 70s. The city actually owned these properties then as well and sold it to a real estate company that then leased it to Kmart. And what they ended up doing was making a T. So if you're traveling north on Nicollet Avenue, you get cut off right there at Lake Street. And you got to go right or left, east or west, because otherwise you run right into the Kmart parking lot and the Kmart building. So we finally terminated the lease with Kmart in the summer of 2020, and we've been working hard since. And so we started with some internal city work. We came up with, all of the various policies and ordinances and practices that we have here, that various decisions that councils have made and the mayor have made over the years that will help govern this site. So our zoning code, our transportation action plan, our climate initiatives here in the city of Minneapolis. And so we really put all of those together because we want to make sure folks are aware that what happens at this site, it's 10 acres, and what happens here, we're really looking at it from a very holistic perspective, and we're really trying to make sure that we can prioritize city priorities on this site. In 2022, we started our engagement, and that, came into the early part of 2023. So we did lots of engagement sessions last year. We had some open houses that were really well attended, and we were really asking people about what they wanted in the street and what they wanted in public space surrounding on either side of the street and on the remaining parts of the site. We know that we will have buildings here. We know with our zoning code that we're going to have mixed-use buildings, so we'll have housing on site, and we'll have businesses on the first floor as they front Nicollet and as they front Lake Street. But we really wanted to get a better idea of what the street should look like, and as well as how people want to be able to spend time on site in public spaces. And so we then took an engagement summer to council at the beginning of this year, and we started phase 2. And so I'm here today to really sort of start to advertise some big events that we have coming up that'll feed into some big decisions that will be coming to the council in early 2024. So that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, that's what we've been doing.
Okay.
Yeah,
we've been busy.
Yeah, you've been really busy. And I just want to go back just real quick, and I understand we have to change language when we do new projects. Just our community knows what the old building or old
Kmart
is, right? So people will always remember the Riverview. People will always remember Shorty and Wags. People will always remember those
Johnny Bakers.
Johnny Bakers. Come on, name them, Kim.
Right.
You've been around a long time. So I want to make sure our listeners know what we're talking about when we're talking about
the new Nicollet.
New Nicollet, right? So
yep.
And one of the things I think is important, and you had talked about it last year, I think it was September, you had came on and talked about these engagement processes, and you touched on it briefly about phase 1 and 2. Just kind of recap to Minneapolis. What have you learned through that first phase of engagement around this new project?
Yeah, so the first phase we had in focus groups with some different smaller groups of community members in places where folks are already going, and we went to the various neighborhood groups, and we had an online survey that we did receive 10,000 comments, which was a pretty big number. We were also made note that only 2,500 of those, so about a quarter of those respondents lived in the 4 neighborhoods surrounding the site, where we're really trying to get most of our feedback from. So we're really looking at the residents of Whittier, the residents of Lyndale, the residents of West Phillips, and the residents of Central. Those are the 4 neighborhoods that are really closest to this site. And we're trying to stitch a little bit of connection back over to the east side of 35W, because as I'm sure your listeners are aware, when we've had our large interstates cut through our neighborhoods, it really creates a disconnect on many, many levels. And so 35W is still there, but we are trying to reach over that biggest expanse of the interstate and try to get some more voices and folks over to from the east side, because we know that they're coming over and on the bus, and they're walking over, and they're coming to businesses over on the other side near the Kmart site. So we heard a lot of things. I would say one of the big things we heard about was that people really do want space to gather. So lots of people talking about community gathering spaces, be they outside or inside, and how do we incorporate that into new development. And the ability to have space that feels like folks belong and that it feels not like a brand new development that's creeping in from the west side of the city or from some other place, but really feels like it's part of these 4 neighborhoods and really serving the residents that are there, with both goods and services and housing ability and places for people to have own businesses and run businesses and maybe get a job. And so we're really looking at it from how can we become part of what is already there in the area and not just plop something brand new down that looks like a shiny new object, but doesn't actually serve the area or bring people together there at that location.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Talking to Rebecca Perel from CPED Project Manager, New Nicollet site, aka former Kmart site. And just real quick, a follow-up to that question. And I know you've got a lot more of information to try to gather, but how much have you heard concerns about gentrification from community members, Rebecca?
And this one's an interesting one. Yes, it is certainly something that folks are talking about. It is certainly always on the city's mind. This one's unique in that there's nobody there on this specific site right now. And so there won't be any, relocation. We're not taking any houses down or older apartment buildings or businesses like was the case back in the 70s when the city originally sold this land. And so there they did move businesses and move people and take buildings down. So this one's, Kmart's left and the grocery store's gone, and so we're not moving anyone. But we do recognize that anytime you bring in new development, be it affordable housing or market rate housing or a combination of both, which is what we expect to see here, is that, things change. You get new people coming in, you get new buildings coming in, and it can change the dynamics of nearby property values or nearby rents, both on the commercial side as well as the residential side. So we did engage the ULI Minnesota, that's the Urban Land Institute, and it's the local chapter here in Minneapolis, and they did a really great job of pulling together a report that we now have on the city's website. And they were looking at 2 things. They were looking at what are things that this project can do to both prevent displacement of residents and businesses from the area nearby, specifically, East Street for businesses to the north and smaller businesses on Nicollet to the south, as well as some of the rental properties in Whittier and Lindale and on the east side as well, because we know they're it's a heavily rental area where a lot of folks rent their property or rent their apartment rather than owning their own. And so that was a really insightful piece that we have some strategies to work through, and working with our policy folks here at the city that work on policies that can try to create change on that front. And the work was done with a combination of both real estate and policy folks here locally, as well as 6 experts from the local region, as well as 6 from outside. So we had folks coming in from both coasts, and it was really interesting to be able to have some perspective from other cities across the country and how they're working on these very same issues, just in different neighborhoods.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And just the reason I asked that question, I mean, we've, as a community, there's been a lot of promises and things that's happened to us, since, enslavement and in our government and not being trusted. And things can change. Sometimes the goalpost moves. So the reason I asked that is just to make sure that at least that I asked that question, because we can never trust, I think, and I'm a government employee, just, our history with trust is just not there. So I asked that question.
You asked the questions that people are thinking.
They're thinking about. Absolutely. So, Rebecca, I know there's it's fenced up around there, that Kmart site now, right?
It is. The post office, the United States Postal Service, was renting part of the old Kmart building from the city for 3 years as they were rebuilding 2 of their other locations, their 55408 office and their 55406 station. And so they've rebuilt both of those and have moved their operations out of the Kmart building. And so now that they're gone, there's not what we kind of call in the world of economic development and business development and community development, eyes on the street, as we like to say, where you have people going in and out of their homes and in and out of businesses and employees coming and going and all of these other things there. So without that, we've been having a harder time with break-ins into the building and some vandalism that way. And so we have made this choice to put a fence up. However, we also will be taking the building down, and that's coming up fast. So we did put out a bid for a demolition contractor, and we'll hopefully be accepting a bid from that proposal and bringing that to City Council for approval in November. So in the early part of 24, we should be seeing that building coming down. There's a little bit of pollution inside it of some old asbestos and some materials that contain lead, so we'll have to abate those all appropriately, and then we'll be taking the building down.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think there'll be a lot of people have a lot of different feelings when they see that structure go. Yeah, so just interesting. And I know it has to happen, but I think that's been there for so long, Kim. It's just, either you liked it or you didn't, but you feel some type of way about it, right?
Yep. Well, and then especially if people are sneaking in and there's asbestos in the building, it's just best that it comes
it's unsafe. Yeah, absolutely. Rebecca, you talk about public space, right? And like, what does that mean for people? Like, sometimes I have a hard time understanding what a public space is, but what does that mean for that site?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's one that, you don't see, who owns property when you're walking down the street. You can just tell if it's welcoming enough for the public, for you as a pedestrian to walk over there and sit down for a cup of coffee or not, right? And so in this case, what we're really doing is we're talking with our colleagues at or counterparts at the park board, because we're really interested in having some portion of this property be a public park that's owned and operated by the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board. So that is an exciting avenue to look at. They're really looking at their Southwest master plan for what types of services are missing. And there is a park, sort of a little missing piece right in this part of the city where they're really looking for potentially some playground type activities for the younger generation, as well as some sport courts of various types. It could be a futsal court, it could be a basketball court, or it could be a pickleball court, or it could be a very really flexible multi-use sport court that you can switch from one sport to the other. That would also be like a hard skate where you could have lots of folks coming together from different communities at different times of day or different times of the week and partaking in, and participating in different kinds of sports. So we're really excited about that possibility. Of course, we're not, we haven't decided where or how much or how that's all going to work. We're still working that out, but it's an exciting component. The other piece we're looking at is when buildings go up by, property developers, then we're also looking at how they can incorporate maybe some little small pocket parks, and how we can do a better job of guiding those to be along sidewalks or to be along public walkways that really feel like they are the public, so that they're not like sort of an interior courtyard, which obviously feels very private and for just the folks that live in a specific unit. But we can come up with some ways and some designs that really make spaces feel more like if you buy a cup of coffee, you can sit down at a park bench or at a park picnic table or tables and chairs with umbrellas, and it can feel like it's anybody's space to sit in.
Welcoming, yes.
Yeah, that sounds good. Talking to Rebecca Perrell, project supervisor from CPED for the city of Minneapolis. Y'all talking about New Nicollet, a.k.a. the former Kmart site. That building is going down, y'all. If I do a quick recap, it has been fenced up, and a lot of us has probably been around that area, so you've seen that. So that's coming down here pretty quickly. And Rebecca, as we race up against the clock, I want to just kind of talk about the engagement process that's been happening with this project. And I know we're in a different phase now. So just talk about how you're engaging and how are you making sure that you reach the people who really are invested in that community, who work there, who live there, who shop there, who visit there. Talk about those two things as we finish out this conversation.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much. Yeah, so in small group settings, we tend to really work with our community partners and find out from them who they're already engaging. So we have worked with Lake Street Council to really engage the business community in and going to their business meetings and trying to, sort of be able to be a part of their business news as they communicate with their members. We also are working very closely with the Whittier Neighborhood Association, the Lindale Neighborhood Association, Central Neighborhood, as well as West Phillips. And so we go to their meetings. And then, the Lindale neighborhood's really engaged at Horn Tower. And so we have some folks that work at Horn Towers. And so we've had some meetings just for Horn Tower residents right there at Horn Towers. The Whittier neighborhood also works closely with St. Stephen's. And so we've had some times where we can just sit with folks that are there for a meal at lunch and really be able to talk to folks that are there, day in and day out all the time and learning more from them about how they experience the area and what improvements can be made. And Clues is another Latino organization, and they do a lot of work along Lake Street in South Minneapolis. And so we've been able to engage them with some of their food shelf recipients and program recipients for all of the various types of activities and programming that they do with the Latino community in South Minneapolis. So those are some of the examples. From a big scale, the two big things that I really want to make sure folks hear about today, if you don't live in the area and aren't part of those smaller communities, we do want to hear from everyone across the city as well. And so we have an online survey that'll be posted on the city's website next Tuesday, October 2nd. Or I think it's the 3rd. Whatever next Tuesday is. Does someone have a calendar?
That is the 3rd.
Yep.
3rd, Tuesday, October 3rd. Thank you. And then on Tuesday, October 10th, 1 week later, we're having a big open house, and that'll be actually on site in the Kmart parking lot. We're going to have, there's a food truck that leases from us there. We'll have some free tacos from the food truck for everyone. We're going to have a DJ.
All right.
And the exciting part about this one is that we're actually going to have the three concepts that are potential options for what the new streets will look like, and it's going to be chalk painted right onto the asphalt. So you'll be able to look south down Nicollet and see how big a sidewalk could be, or how narrow it could be, or how wide the seating area and the extra grass and trees could be. So we're really excited about the ability to actually walk. Usually streets don't have that opportunity because there's cars and the buses and folks going up and down our streets before we do projects on them. And in this case, it's parking lot. So we have the ability to do that. And we're pretty excited to be able to show people in real life the life-size version of what the street could look like.
That's dope.
Yeah. That's actually really, really good. And lucky to even have that for folks can kind of see that, because I'm a visual person, right? So you can give me some sketches and some plans, and I need to see it live and in color. Talking to Rebecca, thank you. One of the last things I want to do, as we've got a couple minutes left, is just talk about how can folks get more information and stay involved in this project.
Yes, that's great. So really, we try to have everything that's, sort of part of the project on the website. So and I know folks probably have heard this a lot, it's at minneapolismn.gov. So that's just the standard City of Minneapolis website. And then it's /new-Nicollet. Another easy way to get there is if you just go to the city's website into the search and you put in the word Kmart. It's not going to be the top one, unfortunately, but you go a couple down and you'll find it. I think the top return right now under Kmart is actually the anti-displacement study, so that is also of interest to folks. But you can go there, and if you go to the new Nicollet page, there's going to be a link, and you can sign up for emails, and we don't send lots of them, so you won't feel like you're getting inundated with new Nicollet emails. We send them, I would say, one every 4 months. So really at sort of the big decision points when we've made some progress and we have news to share. So we'll be putting some out now coming up just because we have the survey that's going out, so that we'll have an email that goes out to folks next Tuesday. So I encourage folks to go in and sign up for those emails today or this week. And then, of course, on that first page, there's also the information about the open house, 4:30 on Tuesday, October 10th, right there in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Awesome.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Yes,
appreciate
thank
you
you
coming back on again. You're always welcome to come back again for some more updates, but great information. So thank you. Appreciate you.
Yes, and Thanks for having us. We're excited to get the news out.
All right.
Thanks.
Hey, Kim, for one thing, and I know we got to wrap up quick. One thing is that it opens up that whole entire street, right? So,
well, we know they're going to make it beautiful.
It should be beautiful. It should be beautiful if they do it right. The open house is good, but I've always I just wonder what the future holds too. You know what I mean? So I just leave it at that.
Hey, we'll see. Only time will tell.
Yeah, it sounds good though.
It does sound good. I mean, at least for the people in the neighborhood. But again, if you are in that neighborhood, and even if you aren't, you used to be in that neighborhood, and you just want some input, man, y'all got to show up at these events.
That's right.
Let them know how you feeling.
That's
they may
right.
take your, they may take your word into consideration.
Or at least get a free taco.
Period.
Good to see you, sis.
You too. It's Minneapolis 360.